Hello everybody, welcome back. Tired as always, and I thought I'd bring something not to your attention, but on the Telegram, not that I should do it, because I don't run a signals group or anything like that, but I have been picking up some, quite a few of these small cap, well you call them gems I suppose, on whether it's Gate.io or Kucoin mostly. And to be honest, the way that I'm seeing the market is generally very optimistic. Mostly putting all my attention on Bitcoin because Bitcoin is driving the market. But Ethereum's certainly doing a bit of driving as well at the moment. So when we look at the market cap, before we go into the coin I'm going to speak about, before we actually look at that specific coin, we have to think about what's going on with the market. Now the market obviously was in a horrendous downtrend. A lot of money left the market very, very, very quickly. Unbelievably quickly. If you think about what happened here in the space of 3 weeks, we went from 2.6 trillion all the way down to basically 1.17 trillion. That's a massive amount of money left the market in a in a 2 week period, right? It's unbelievable. And then I suppose over the last 3 weeks, there's been quite a large amount of money going to, from 1.13 trillion all the way up to 1.18 trillion. So, about $700 billion entered the market in 3 weeks. This is cryptocurrency. I suppose this is what it does. Think about a lot of that is probably going to be derivatives anyway. But there's a lot of money coming into the market. Now, if we think about the Bitcoin dominance chart, we think about this as where the market, where the money's going, and it would appear that on the whole, largely across the board, it's been distributed between altcoins and Bitcoin. So neither of them have got the upper hand at the moment, and this could go either way. But even if Bitcoin dominance went up and the market was to go up, it would generally mean that Bitcoin would be the stronger asset, probably outperform the majority, and coins would lose versus their sats. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we're not able to buy coins potentially at their bottoms. It might just mean that you'll be holding onto a coin for longer before it actually does its run, and then over time it could quite easily and most likely outperform Bitcoin. You're just going to have a bit of a lull before that takes place. So I'm one of those people, those boring people that actually thinks that Bitcoin dominance is probably going to go up before it goes down. There's reasons for that I won't bore you with, but even so, if that is the scenario that I think is most likely, and there's not much in it, not much in it, I'd probably say it's 60% more likely, so not a great deal in it. I don't expect altcoins to particularly tank when money's flowing into the market as it is at the moment, and if it continues to do that, it will go into the market across the board, but with a bias towards Bitcoin. So that's one of the reasons I've been buying these small cap, what do they call them? Kucoin gems, right? Doesn't mean that I'm expecting them to launch immediately. It's just that I have a feeling that the market has bottomed, and if I can get in at the bottom of some of these coins before they do their parabolic runs, I am potentially looking for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 X's on these coins. Not all of them. Some of them may not work. Some of them might only yield 10. Some might only do 5x. But either way, it's the way I've chosen to view the market. Now, I'm going to be in a different situation to a lot of people who might be watching this video. If you're watching this video and you're not, well established with crypto, you don't really know the ups and the downs and the highs and the lows and the risks as well as the rewards, then maybe you should just take what I'm saying with an extreme pinch of salt and maybe focus on something a bit more tangible. Because the coin that I'm going to talk about now is basically very new, and it goes against everything that I would ever really talk about on the channel. But I fancy a little bit of a gamble, and think about that, what I've just said. It's a bit of a gamble, alright? It's a gamble. All of trading is essentially gambling, but with better odds than others, and you're just basically working out the odds. And most of the time we use indicators to work those odds out, and we don't look at anything other than, is there enough signals and strength to warrant putting money in at this point? Is it going to continue to go up? Is it going to go up at all? And when you have a new chart, generally you don't have any of those sort of things. And so again, this isn't anything that I would normally look at, but because I mentioned it on my Telegram chat, which I probably shouldn't have done, I think I might give it a bit of context by making this video so people understand what it is that I'm talking about and don't put all their money into it. Remember, when you're doing something like what I'm about to talk about with this coin here, which is AI, Multiverse, right? when you're buying something that could potentially do, an enormous amount back, you are also looking to risk a lot, because with small caps, they go up massively, they go down massively. And if you look at the state of this chart, this looks pretty awful. In all fairness, it does look pretty awful. Now, the one thing that attracted me to this is, first of all, like I say, I'm in a different situation to most people, I imagine, or a lot of people, where I've been trading crypto for years. I've accumulated a lot of wealth, especially just this year alone, and I can afford to lose a little bit on essentially a gamble. It's not really much of a problem to me, if I was to lose a bit. And when I'm saying a bit, I'm not putting in tons of money into this. I'm putting in what's proportionate for me to lose, which is what everybody should do, really. But yeah, I felt like the reason that this attracted me, I was drawn to this chart, was because of its giant moves in the past, its giant retracements, its ability to do big moves as well, and the fact that it has come down to what would appear to be a general kind of bottoming area that corresponds to this area here, this kind of low here, and these kind of lows here. So the chart doesn't really speak a great deal more than that. Now, if we go to the 8-hour chart, which is something that Kucoin gets traded on quite frequently because of the app, we can see that the MACD is turning up ever so slightly, which is, in my opinion, what's led to this little bit of a move today. Again, this move is nothing. If this chart works out the way I think it's going to work out, this move is nothing. I would be looking for very, very large moves. I mean, extremely large. But because it's so new and the chart looks so awful, you cannot take what I'm saying as anything, really, because until the chart matures a little more, we're not going to really get a handle on it. And if this support breaks down, things can get pretty ugly, very ugly indeed. So I turned my attention to a little bit of the old fundamental analysis, which is something I don't normally do. And I'm a big trader for Fetch AI, right? So that was all based upon technical analysis, that trade. But when you're holding a position for a prolonged period of time, you get to learn a little bit about the company and what the blockchain does. And I suppose what AI Multiverse is trying to do is something similar, but they're not a Mickey Mouse team. They are a team of like senior people within Google and Twitter, and basically the team and the backers, they're not nobodies. It's not a nothing. They are relatively well established and professional people with some recognizable names behind it, which made me feel a little bit more confident that I could gamble on this one. All right, and like I say, it's a gamble. So we are at the moment more or less towards this area of support. And if you think about this last wick, where that bounced from, that wick was just short of 2 cents. All right, so this is all definitely very possible that we come and revisit 2 cents again. Doesn't mean that we will have to, but the chart doesn't look like it wants to do a great deal at any time soon. Now, if we start an uptrend, there are certain levels here which would be of interest. One would be around here, where we had this launch pad point, 3 levels of support, and a few rejections on this further piece of downtrend over here. So we had a very large portion of, I suppose you could call it accumulation, where we had rejections here, rejection, then support. So 3.5 cents mostly is where I would expect to see the largest rejection, if we get there at all, right? Above 3.5 cents has the possibility to then do a 100% move all the way up to just short of a 100% move up to about here. There's 6.2 cents. So from here to here, the general move would be about 72. From where we are at right now, the move would generally be 138. So nothing massive in cryptocurrency world, but again, this is where the change of behavior could be. And like I say, if we're assuming that the bottom is in for cryptocurrency, and the market will continue, then coins like this are worth, in my opinion, a gamble for people like me that can afford to lose a few grand, And obviously no one can afford to lose a few grand, but you know what I mean. You got to be in it to win it, basically, and see where it goes. And if this turns out to be a general support zone, I felt like I'd pick this up. So I picked it up 2 or 3 days ago when it was dancing around these levels. So average buy-in was about 2.3 cents, you know. And we're going to have to wait for this to play out for as long as it takes to play out. It's very new. A chart like this should likely, if it's going to do a healthy run, it should likely spend a fair bit of time down in these zones anyway. So I'm really not expecting anything for a couple of months, to be honest. And then when it picks up, it should hopefully pick up with a nice set of weekly green candles, and then probably an enormous collapse after that. Now, I know very little else about what it is they're trying to do, or much else about the chart. There's nothing out there on YouTube about it, and I don't expect anybody to watch this video, to be honest with you, because nobody really knows about it. I have another theory, and again, it's just a theory, is that people are getting a little bit fed up with Binance, looking for the next platform, the next best platform, with all this KYC business, and I can understand. Binance is always going to be my preference anyway to trade on, because the liquidity and the volume is so high. You can execute orders, for relatively decent amounts quite easily. But if you're all playing with smaller money, then it shouldn't really matter. You shouldn't have too much of a problem on something like Kucoin anyway. But I think that there's going to be a bit of a migration from Binance, that probably already has, to be honest, into other exchanges. Kucoin seems to be, I would say, one of the next best ones to choose. I've definitely put a portion of my free capital into it, so that in itself offers more opportunities to tokens like this that aren't available on places like Binance. So if more people are trading on Kucoin that weren't there before, they find themselves with opportunities that they wouldn't have had before. This possibly being one of them. But until, like I say, it's very new. It's only come out since June. Since then, it's been pretty awful looking chart. But again, a lot of things have been pretty awful looking charts. A 90% retrace. Look, I might be wrong on this one, and this is why I said at the very beginning it's a gamble. The fundamentals seem okay. The team seem okay. The chart is I'd call it a decent support for what it's worth. And the runs that it has had in the past have been pretty decent, pretty decent. So I am expecting something good to come from this, but I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. And if anyone ever said to you that buying this is financial advice, you should just say that's bad financial advice, because it's really backed upon a what if. It's not like anything that we would normally trade on this channel or in the Telegram or anywhere else that I would ever give my opinion on. So I'll leave it with you there, and we'll see how this one runs throughout the rest of this year. And if it fails, it fails. But if it doesn't, it will likely do something spectacular. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.